How's it going, everyone? This is the George here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Logan. That's right, the third and final X Solo Wolverine movie, not X Men movie. There's been other X Men movies that have come out after this, but this is the last in the Wolverine solo movies. Once again, directed by James Mangold, and once again stars Hugh Jackman along with Patrick Stewart and Daphne Keane. And this movie takes place in a distant future where Logan is aging, his healing factor is failing him. He's in a lot of pain. Also, Professor X, aka Charles Xavier, is suffering from dementia and he's having these seizures that are causing harm to people. A year before the events of this movie, the year prior, an incident happened where one of his seizures caused 600 people to get injured and killed some of the members of the X-Men. While this is happening, a nurse approaches Logan and introduces him to this girl named Laura and offers him a ton of money to get her and Laura to the American-Canadian border in North Dakota. And it's later revealed that this girl is a mutant with similar powers to Logan. She was created in a lab by people from Transigen who also created other mutants. And these children were created with mutant DNA because for over 20 years, no new mutants have been born. So this movie is very interesting because when you watch it, when you see the trailers, it has that post-apocalyptic feel, but not in the way that you expect. It's more so a post-apocalyptic feel for mutants. We see society is still going on. Parties are still happening. Funerals are still happening. People are going to work. Everyday business is still happening. Normal people are going about their business. But it has a post-apocalyptic feel for mutants. We honestly have no idea if any other members of the X-Men survived. We know some members got killed due to the incident involving Charles. And even if any other mutants are alive, are they in exile or did something bad happen to them after what happened upstate? Uh, Charles is completely different from how he usually is. He's also in pain. He's also more grumpy than usual. Logan, more grumpy than he usually is. We see him in the pain that he's in. And the performances that Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart give are terrific. Hugh Jackman, best performance by far, but I also feel like this is Patrick Stewart's best performance as Charles Xavier by far as well. And he's played Charles in many X-Men movies, and he always does such a great job. Here he delivers another great performance. But despite the pain that Charles is in, despite how upset that he is at times, there's still glimmers and signs of the Charles that we know and love, particularly in his scenes with Laura, how gentle and caring that he is with her, talking about a Western movie with her in a casino in the second act of the movie. Just showing the fatherly, grandfatherly side that we've seen him shown in previous X-Men movies. And we see in here Logan struggling to play the father role in here because Laura is essentially his daughter. She was created partly with his DNA. And we see him struggle to adapt into that role, trying to distance himself from her. Now, this movie is also the first R-rated Wolverine movie, and thank goodness, right away in the opening scene of the movie, when these people, these gangsters are trying to steal from his limo, despite Wolverine being out of it, he goes all out with his claws. Right away, the movie establishes that R-rated tone, and I love it. It's great to see a Wolverine movie with an R rating and them just going for it. This movie also has a Western style of tone and also a bit of a Clint Eastwood directing style. Not just in the fact that it feels like a Western movie, but it does remind me a bit of one of Clint Eastwood's best movies that he directed, Gran Torino. Just like how Logan's character feels in comparison to Clint Eastwood's character in that movie. He's old, he's bitter, but when people that he cares about are getting harmed, he goes all out and he will protect them. So I love that they went with that feel. Now, Daphne Keene as Laura, aka X-23, she does a really good job in this movie. She gives a strong performance. And for the majority of the movie, she doesn't even speak. It's mostly due to her actions, her neutral facial expressions, the action sequences that she does that really delivers that performance. And when she does finally speak in the movie, the way she delivers her dialogue, even though she's speaking in Spanish, right there you're thinking, yeah, she's definitely Logan's daughter. The anger and temper that she shows, the impatience that she has, that's Logan right there. The villain of this movie, this character named Pierce, while he's not a physical threat, he's definitely one of the more sadistical, more sinister villains. He's not like Francis from Deadpool, I would say, although he does come across as more dark, maybe less sadistic, but more dark, if that's even a thing. That's how I saw it. This movie does have its heartfelt moments. It does have its enjoyable moments, despite being a dark movie. Some of the lines that Logan says, as always, sometimes they come across as funny. There's still some funny, enjoyable moments in this movie. There's also this moment where Logan helps his family out, and him, Laura, and Charles have dinner with them, and it's like a calm before the storm moment. And it even Charles says right before he gets killed by the evil Logan clone that's younger and more violent, says like this was one of the best nights that he's had in a long time. And you really feel that in the dinner scene because you see Logan relaxing, even having a good time. It's a nice bonding scene, and you don't know, and it's a nice scene right before, part of my language, shit goes down, because shit does go down the next scene with this Wolverine clone that kills Charles in this family that helps Logan and Laura and Charles out by letting them stay the night after they help them get their horses back and their truck. And the third act of this movie, they go all out. Basically, Wolverine gets Laura to the kids, which before I even get to the third act, I gotta say, the way they put the X-Men comics into the movie, because there's X-Men comics in this universe. Basically, in this universe, someone wrote fictional tales or alternate takes on the X-Men's adventures. And that's where the nurse at the beginning of the movie has this idea of bringing Laura to the American-Canadian border, basically North Dakota. And Wolverine doesn't buy it at first. He's thinking this is just a bunch of hocus pocus nonsense written by someone, and that the nurse just read too many comics. But once they get to that point, he realizes, oh, this is actually true. And he doesn't go with the kids at first, and you can see Laura feels hurt by that because Logan feels that, if he stays any longer, she's just going to get hurt, and maybe the kids if he gets closer to them. But then when he sees Pierce's militia group, sees the drones going in that direction, he realizes that they're going after him. He takes a serum that gives him enough time to heal or to feel strong. And he goes all out in the forest. And this feels reminiscent of previous Wolverine scenes in other X-Men movies. It reminded me of that scene in X-Men 2, X-Men United, where Stryker's men go into the mansion and they're trying to kidnap the students, and Logan's doing his best to protect the students, taking down the men. Also, it also reminds me a little bit of X-Men Origins Wolverine. And as bad as that movie is, it reminds me of one of the better scenes of that movie where Wolverine's going into the woods because he knows Sabretooth is there, and Sabretooth is going after his girlfriend. I don't know if James Mangold did that intentionally. Maybe I'm thinking too deep about it. But it just reminded me of those two scenes. It just reminded me of key scenes from previous X-Men Wolverine movies involving Wolverine. And he's taking down the men. You see Laura also taking down the men. But then the serum wears off, and X-24 just goes all out against Wolverine. I also love that we see the mutant kids showing off their powers and how dangerous their powers are. But it doesn't take away from Wolverine and Laura just going full on out Wolverine against these men. And the scene that we were bracing for, X-24, the clone, puts Logan into a tree stub. He gets impaled. And a thing that's been highlighted many times in this movie is Wolverine has an adamantium bullet with him, and he reveals later in the movie that he has it to eventually kill himself with. Laura uses it to kill the clone. And Logan's dying, he's dying in Laura's arms, and they're having a moment. And Logan's last words, so this is what it feels like. I feel like that can mean a lot of stuff. It could mean that maybe Logan's no longer in pain, that he's finally at peace, maybe to feel like a father and love a child, or I don't know. It can mean many different stuff. And when Laura finally calls him daddy, that's when the pain kicks in. And this was probably the first time that I got really emotional watching a comic book movie. It was even crying. I'll admit I was crying in the theater, especially when Laura takes the cross that they made and makes it into an X, and she leaves with the other kids, and it's the end of an era, and it's sad because Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is one of the best comic book castings of all time, one of the best performances, one of the best characters, one of the best character arcs, even in the bad X-Men movies that he was in, like X-Men: The Last Stand, X-Men Origins Wolverine. He still made those movies bearable and watchable. But yeah, Logan it's one of those rare comic book movies that you get that really makes you think about the genre, that makes you think about the characters. And I have no other words to describe it. It's a phenomenal movie. It's, in my opinion, one of the top 5 best comic book movies ever made. One of my top 5 favorite comic book movies ever made. For many, it's probably the best or one of their top 3, and I can't blame them because this is a phenomenal movie. I can't really find anything wrong with this movie, and I can't really nitpick anything because I love everything about it. The second act does slow down when they're in the casino, when they're settling down, but still, there's not a dull moment in that second act either. Logan is a phenomenal movie, and to me, this is the best movie, not just in the Wolverine franchise, but in the entire X-Men franchise. And spoiler alert for anyone that didn't see the last Deadpool Wolverine trailer, we see Daphne Keane returning as Laura in this movie. And I'm curious to see how they're going to handle that and how they're going to handle the Logan stuff. But yeah, I'm going to give Logan an A+. This is a fantastic movie with fantastic performances, fantastic action. They utilize the R rating so well. A great tone, great setting, great development for the characters. And if you haven't seen Logan, you got to watch Logan. Not just because Deadpool Wolverine's coming out really soon, but it's just a phenomenal movie. Go check it out. And it's definitely by far the best R-rated comic book movie. I'll definitely say that. But yeah, Logan, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And what's your favorite X-Men movie or X-Men Universe movie? Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share us with someone that loves Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, that loves the X-Men movies. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.